Hello all my merry makers and welcome to another Merry Making Monday. I'm your host Becca. Happy Memorial Day. I'm not actually here. I'm doing some pre-recording because probably like you, I'm visiting, spending time with family on Memorial Day. And if you're not watching this on Memorial Day, I won't take it offensive. Trust me. It's for family. Merry Making Mondays, what are they about? They're about me providing instructions on how to make something. Hence Merry Making Mondays. Usually they are knit or crochet centered. Every so often there's something else. My sewing machine has been fixed, so hopefully we'll get back to that soon. But today is no different. We are going to be doing the gusset of our cuff down heel. This is kind of the tricky part in my opinion. So let's get started. If I can find my pause button. Alright. So again, just for a reminder, we are using retro stripe of the red heart. We are using size, I think these are technically size 7 double point needles. And last time, where we left our intrepid heroes, we had just finished doing the heel flap and the heel turn. If you are doing a cuff down sock and you've not done one before and you haven't seen that video, I strongly advise you to look at that one before you look at this one. Because this has basically been my version of a make-along / tutorial. Anyway, so now we are going to do the gusset. Now, so we will knit, if I can get my words correctly, halfway across, which is not very far for this sock because it's so small. Again, I'm making a house sock, that's why we're using thicker yarn, for my daughter who is about 4, which is why it's so small. And this is all for basically teaching you the principle of how to make a sock from the cuff down. Alright, so now that we've knit halfway across, some patterns will tell you to place a new beginning of round stitch marker there. That's mainly if you're using either what I call the magic loop method, or if you have not separated your stitches evenly amongst only 2 needles. One of the reasons I like to use double pointed needles for socks is that I can just pick up another double point needle and then I knit the rest of the stitches. And you're like, well, okay, if all we're doing is knitting the stitches, then why do they say to split the stitches? And this is why, because you're about to pick up a whole bunch of stitches. So the amount of stitches on each needle will grow. Also, whatever you do on what I consider the right side of your work, you will then follow and do the left side of your work. So let me show you the way I pick up stitches for the gusset. So I'm going to pick up a stitch here. I'm going underneath both loops here. Now I know there's already a stitch coming through there, but trust me, this will help prevent holes in your gusset. Oh, no. This should help prevent holes in your gusset, I should say. Alright. Alright, why does that look funny to me? Alright. Maybe it's this one that I'm thinking of. Okay, it's this one that I'm thinking of. Okay, so it's the next one. Alright. And again, we're going through both stitches to pick up. So, putting my needle through, picking up. And if you remember, we did 6 sets of on the heel flap, but we're going to be picking up about 8 stitches. So we picked up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, all right, 7, and then the last one should be right under the first stitch for the front of your sock. And again, this is the way I pick up stitches to help prevent holes in my gusset. Holes in your gusset aren't the end of the world, they're just annoying. Alright? And then you knit across the front of the sock like normal. See, I like to keep my beginning of round stitch marker there so I can remember which needle is my front of my sock. I'm sorry for the extra clinking. It's because, you know, extra needles. And we're just knitting across the sock here. I'm trying to keep my needles quiet for you. I know that can be a trigger for some people. Alright. So now that we've knit all the way across, not in this very, oh hello, we are out of focus. Why are we so out of focus? Alright. Alright, come on, camera. There we go. Oh, maybe. Alright, so not this first stitch right here, but this second stitch is where I'm going to be going through, even though there's kind of already yarn there, to pick up a stitch. Because again, I'm trying to, whoop, come back out, Becca. I'm trying to prevent holes in my gusset. Alright. And then same thing over here. I go directly across to pick up, even though there's a yarn there, to pick up. There we go. Alright, so that's 2 stitches I've picked up. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I did something wrong. Did I go into the wrong hole for the first time? Where's my... Oh, yep, I did. Alright, so... See how there's one... So... I went into the wrong hole the first time. No wonder it was so hard. 1. So that's 2. Count correctly, Becca. Don't confuse people. 3. 4. Oh, why are you being a bear to pick up? Oh, oh. That's going to be taken care of in the art of editing. Alright. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, and then the last one should be like right below where your other needle is. Having issues today. 8. Alright, and then you just knit across. Alright. Alright. So, now that we've picked up the stitches, I'm going to walk you how to work your gusset. Alright. So, similar to the heel flap, you have 2 rows and 2 decreases. So, row 1, if I could write today, row 1, and remember, this is where you start counting row 1, not here. It's a little confusing, that's why I like doing double points. But you will knit all your stitches. Okay? Row 2, you knit to the last 3, then you knit 2 together. That's on this side. On the front part, you just knit all your stitches. And then on the left part, you knit the first stitch. Then you do a decrease called a slip slip knit, and then you knit the rest of the stitches. Now, the only difference between these 2 decreases right here is which way they lean. Okay? So unless you're submitting your sock to judgment, this is going to be a lot easier. I will walk you through how to do a slip slip knit for the purposes of this tutorial. But you repeat these 2 rows until the number of your stitches is back to, for the purposes of this video, 12, I think. It should be 12. It should be the same number as what's on your front. 3, 6, 9, 12. So, okay. And that's another reason to keep your front separate from everything else, is so that you remember what number you're supposed to be going to. Alright, so I'm going to walk you through this once, and only once because of time purposes. I see that we're already at 13 minutes. Alright, so first row is you just knit all the stitches that you just picked up. Knit, 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 knit. You know what? I'm going to do this off camera. Alright, so now I've knit all the stitches across here, and across here. So we're back toward It's the middle of the heel. And now we're technically on row 2. And this is what I call the decrease row, because you're decreasing on on 2 out of the 3 needles that I'm using. So knit till the last 3 stitches. Plus I figure this is a good opportunity to kind of show you the difference between these 2 decreases. Alright. So you knit 2 together, just like you did for the heel. Goes through the second one, goes through the first one, drop the yarn, both drop off. And you can kind of see where, because of the way that was done, the work slightly leans to the right. I'm going to knit across the front and meet you on the other side. Now that I've knit across the whole front part of my sock, I'm ready to do the left part of my sock. So I knit the first stitch, then I put my needle in like I'm going to knit it, but I'm just going to slip it. Do that to the second one, and then put it back on my resting needle. And all I've done is changed how these 2 loops are facing. That's all I've done. And I'm also going to draw through the back part of the stitch. And now you can see how that decrease has made the work lean to the left. The knit 2 together made it lean to the right. The slip slip knit makes it lean to the left. That is the only difference between those 2 decreases. And now I'm going to knit the rest of the stitches. And I'm ready. Oh, hold on, getting ahead of myself. There we go. And now I am ready to do what's called the knit row, or row 1 in this case. And like I said, we're going to repeat those 2 rows until the number of stitches for the purposes of this tutorial is 12. So I had some thoughts while I was sitting here knitting, and I felt like it was a good idea to share them with you. I think doing a house sock is a good starting point for anybody who wants to do socks, to help you get used to the stitches, to help you get used to how a sock should look. The other thought I had was, if you put your sock down, you might not remember what you did the previous row. This is where learning how to read, that's what it's called, reading your stitches, comes in handy. So, like, I can tell that this is a slip knit together, or a slip slip knit. I can tell this is a regular knit, so I am about to do slip slip knit again. Plus I wanted to show you slip slip knit again, because, you know, it might be new to you. So like I'm gonna knit, but I slip, like I'm gonna knit, slip, put back on my resting needle, draw the yarn through both loops, through the back, and both come off. Alright? And if you ever have any questions about where you are in your work, get to a good stopping point. Okay, you say to yourself, well, I just did a decrease row. How many more have I got to go? I remember that my overall goal is 12. 3, 6, 9. That means I have 9 on both sides. I still got a ways to go, and I'm ready to do a knit row. Alright, so I just wanted to show you what your gusset may look like when you're done. And see, we were trying to avoid a hole, but you know what, holes are not 100% avoidable. This might black out in the wash. It might not, since this is acrylic and not wool, but this side looks pretty. And we know that we're done working the gusset again, because we are back to our original number of stitches. 3, 6, 9, 12. And we're ready to start working, just knitting in the round again to the as part of the foot, which will be our next video. I want to thank you all so much for joining me for this Memorial Day, or if it's after Memorial Day, still thank you for joining me. Please join me Wednesday for what you're working on Wednesday, and join me next Monday as we finish up this wonderful sock that we're making together. Until then, my merry makers, make what makes you merry. Ciao.